What's up, Cowboys Nation? Another season has come and gone, and while the Dallas Cowboys were watching from home, the Philadelphia Eagles were out there hoisting the Lombardi Trophy after a dominant Super Bowl win over the Kansas City Chiefs. Yep, that one stings. But despite the disaster that was the Cowboys' 7-10 season, injuries, coaching changes, and yet another year without a deep playoff run, quarterback Dak Prescott is still keeping the faith. Prescott recently said that the Cowboys are very close to being able to compete with teams like the Eagles. And that comment? Well, let's just say it didn't sit well with everyone. ESPN's Stephen A. Smith, who, let's be honest, loves to go after the Cowboys, didn't hold back. He called Prescott delusional and questioned how the quarterback still believes Dallas is in the same league as Philly. We're breaking it all down today, plus the latest rumors that the Cowboys might consider trading Micah Parsons. So before we dive in, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any Cowboys updates. Let's get into it. All right, let's talk about these comments from Stephen A. Smith. We all know he's never been shy about bashing the Cowboys, but this time he took it to another level. When discussing Prescott's belief that the Cowboys are very close to competing with the Eagles, Smith didn't hold back. Clearly delusional, Smith said. This is Dak Prescott. When has he not been delusional? I mean, we've seen evidence of this time and time again from this guy. And he wasn't done there. Smith then suggested that Prescott should just go someplace and be quiet. That's cold, but here's the thing. Does he have a point? Because let's be real, Cowboys fans. When you look at the NFC East, what do you see? The Eagles just won the Super Bowl. The Commanders have a new coaching staff and a ton of draft capital. The Giants? Okay, they're a mess, but still. Meanwhile, Dallas has serious questions. Prescott is entering his 10th season and still hasn't taken this team past the divisional round. Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts, who was drafted years after Prescott, has already been to 2 Super Bowls, winning 1. Oh, and don't forget, rookie Brock Bowers just led his team to the NFC Championship. So when Stephen A. Smith says Prescott is delusional for thinking Dallas is close to contending, maybe it's not just hate. Maybe there's some truth to it. On paper, the Cowboys should be a competitive team. CeeDee Lamb is one of the best receivers in the NFL. Micah Parsons is a top 3 defensive player in the league. The roster is filled with talent, but the reality? Dallas wasn't even close to competing last season. The Eagles steamrolled their way through the playoffs, winning 3 of their 4 postseason games in blowout fashion, including the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Meanwhile, the Cowboys? They finished 7-10, missed the playoffs, and had to fire their head coach. That's not very close. That's miles away. So what needs to change? Well, for starters, the Cowboys have 2 cracks at the Eagles next season. Those games will be massive statements, either proving Prescott right or exposing the gap between the 2 teams even further. But the real question is, will Prescott even be the biggest story in Dallas this offseason? Because now we've got some drama brewing with Micah Parsons. All right, Cowboys fans, this one is Wild.NFL Network's Ian Rappaport recently reported that Dallas has had internal discussions about Micah Parsons' future with the team. And get this, former Cowboys defensive lineman Chris Canty actually thinks they should trade him. Yeah, you heard that right. I'm about to say something that goes against everything I believe. I can't believe I'm going here. I can't believe I'm about to say this. The Dallas Cowboys need to trade Micah Parsons. Why? Not because of his talent, not even because of his upcoming contract extension, which is going to be massive, but because of his behavior. Canty specifically called out Parsons for being too vocal, for some of the comments he's made on his podcast, and for potentially being a negative influence on the locker room. That when you got somebody that has been as vocal as he has, that has at various points gotten himself into trouble with his podcast, saying certain things about his teammates, about the league, there's an opportunity for the Cowboys this offseason to show the rest of the locker room that our culture matters. Look, we all know Parsons is a superstar. He's been one of the best defensive players in the league since the day he stepped on the field. But could there be real concerns about his fit in Dallas? And if the Cowboys were to trade him, what could they even get in return? One thing is clear. If Dallas moves on from Parsons, it won't be because of his contract. It'll be because they think it's better for the team, and that's a huge decision. The Cowboys officially moved on from Mike McCarthy after 5 seasons and gave the reins to Schottenheimer, who spent last year as the team's offensive coordinator. His hiring came with plenty of criticism. After all, guys like Bill Belichick and Jim Harbaugh were available. But instead of making a flashy move, Jerry and Stephen Jones stuck with a guy they already knew. However, not everyone sees this as a bad thing. An unnamed NFL executive told The Athletic that Schottenheimer might actually thrive as a head coach. Here's what they had to say. He has the ability to be a better head coach than coordinator. He's confident. He has a vision for who he wants to be and how he wants to play, and he'll be able to communicate that across the team. Now, this is interesting, because if we're being honest, Schottenheimer's track record as an offensive coordinator has been hit or miss. He's bounced around the league, working with teams like the Jets, Rams, Seahawks, and Jaguars. His offenses have been solid at times, but have never been among the best in the NFL. However, he's always been respected for his leadership and ability to connect with players. And based on his introductory press conference, it's clear that Schottenheimer has a vision for this team, especially when it comes to fixing the run game. One of the biggest problems with the Cowboys last season was their inconsistent offense. They finished 17th in total offense, not good enough for a team with this much talent. The run game was even worse, ranking 27th in the league, and when the offense struggled, the entire team fell apart. Schottenheimer has already made it clear fixing the ground game will be his top priority. He's assembling a staff that can emphasize the run, which should open things up for the passing attack. And speaking of the running game, we have to talk about Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle, the Cowboys' breakout star. If you told me at the beginning of 2024 that Rico Dowdle would be the Cowboys' lead back by season's end, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But here we are. The Cowboys started the season with Ezekiel Elliott, hoping he could turn back the clock. That experiment failed, and Elliott was released before the season even ended. That opened the door for Dowdle, an undrafted free agent from 2020, to take over. And man, did he deliver. Check out these numbers. 79 rushing yards, first undrafted player in Cowboys history to hit 1,000 yards. Chet, 6 yards per carry, 39 catches for 249 yards and 3 receiving TDs. And here's the crazy part. Dowdle didn't even get going until midway through the season. NFL.com even ranked him inside the top 20 running backs in the league, placing him at number 19 overall. The Cowboys' offense went on a roller coaster ride in 2024 with star players going in and out of the lineup due to injury. Dowdle didn't surpass 90 rushing yards in a game until Thanksgiving Day, then emerged down the stretch, impressing. With 4 100-yard rushing performances over the Cowboys' final 6 games. So the big question now is, will the Cowboys keep him? Here's where things get tricky. Dowdle is heading into free agency, and after a season like that, he's going to have plenty of interest from other teams. The Cowboys have to make a decision. Do they pay up to keep Dowdle as their lead back, or do they let him walk and try to find a cheaper option in the draft? With Dallas already tight on cap space, it won't be an easy call. But if Schottenheimer really wants to build the run game, keeping Dowdle around could be a big part of that. All right, Cowboys fans, now it's your turn. There's a lot to unpack here. Do you think Stephen A. Smith is right? Is Dak Prescott delusional for thinking the Cowboys are close to contending? Are the Cowboys actually capable of competing with the Eagles next season? And the big one, should Dallas consider trading Micah Parsons? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And before you go, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. We'll be covering everything this offseason, so stay tuned because the drama in Dallas is far from over. Thanks for watching. Go Cowboys!